as Monday. I'm Wendy Nix, Chris Mortensen, Ryan Clark. Love the bow tie.
Well, thank you.
Very
but
sharp.
Not this time.
No, I'd like his better, but that's fine. And then there's Tim.
I like your tie. I like your tie, though.
Tim Hasselbeck.
You guys are ridiculous, man.
All right, listen, we start with the very real possibility of a beast mode reunion in Seattle. It almost seems impossible, but nope. Marshawn Lynch spent 6 seasons of his NFL career in Seattle. They lost more than a game on Sunday. Also, losing their top 2 running backs on their depth chart, Chris Carson and TJ Procise, both of whom will miss the rest of the season with hip and arm injuries, respectively. With Seattle facing San Francisco in a winner-takes the NFC West game this Sunday, Pete Carroll said it's possible.
I don't want to put you on the spot and say, hey, is Marshawn coming back? But is that one of the possibilities you guys will explore?
Why don't you want to put me on the spot?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Marshawn Lynch coming back?
He'll be flying in here this morning, and we're going to give him a really good chance to come back and play for us, and I'm fired up for it. And he's got to get through some hoops he's got to jump through here, just physical and stuff like that. But he's been working really hard. He's really excited about the chance to do something to help it out, and I think it's freaking great. If he can get out there and tote the ball for us. The circumstances rolled just at this time, and he could have 4 or 5 games left in him. Maybe that's what we need.
All right, listen, that's right. Put him on the spot. Pete bailed him out, said, put me on the spot. What can you tell us about Marshawn Lynch in Seattle?
Well, he's there. They want to certainly meet with him, make sure he wants to do this, then take the physical, and then they say jump through some hoops. This league stuff, administrative stuff to get through all of that. But, listen, they lost Chris Carson. They lost C.J. Procise, their 2 running backs. They had worked out Robert Turbin and Albert Blue on Tuesday because of another injury. But Marshawn Lynch, all of a sudden this game last night, after Seattle got beat up by the Arizona Cardinals, it kind of took the energy out of the Sunday night game, which is the Seahawks and the 49ers in Seattle. This puts some energy back in that game because he is one of the unique players and characters of our generation, certainly the past 10, 15 years.
Yeah, I love that you said energy, though, because and that wasn't necessarily, to me, the energy is gone from the San Francisco 49ers Seattle Seahawks matchup. It was gone from this offense. Chris Carson was a physical running back that got downhill, and he set a tone. And what Seattle Seahawks running back do we remember setting a tone better than Marshawn Lynch did during his 6 years with the team? And so if you can get that guy back, if he is healthy, because I remember what I felt like in December, the year I retired. I couldn't have played football for the Bad News Bears or the Little Giants, and the Bad News Bears played baseball. And so that's how terrible a shape I was in. So if he's in shape and can go, it'll be fun to watch.
Well, which makes me think, like, Mort, have we been able to confirm that Pete Carroll is saying that he's been working really hard?
Yeah, is that a rumor?
Can we have we been able to verify that he's been doing that?
Sitting on his bike? Riding around.
That's
fair. A lot of biking.
Maybe Sean Alexander's available if he's not, or maybe Kurt Warner if he's not.
Here's the thing about the guy. I mean, listen, Russell Wilson, did you see him yesterday? And Dwayne Brown, their left tackle's out in this game, too. Russell Wilson got physically beat down. He needs somebody to help protect him. That's not just through the run, but through pass protection. If Marshawn Lynch can do that, then more power to him. He did play in 6 games last year with the Raiders. Yeah,
and I will say this to him. We're having a little bit of fun with it, but think about what C.J. Anderson, did coming off the bench, coming off of the couch, basically.
Yeah, where's he at?
Oh, is he the guy that's available maybe as well? I do think if you're a guy that's played some in this league and had some success, and you are, still interested in playing football and you've been in somewhat, type of shape, you could help a team like Seattle.
At that position as well.
Yes.
All right. So now we're waiting on a physical, yes?
Physical and a few hoops.
I like that.
Some other administrative stuff. I wonder what that could be.
A physical and a few hoops. Sorry, we'll leave it at that. As we move to the Cowboys with the NFC East title on the line yesterday in Philadelphia.
This is big. Everything is still on the line. Wentz looks left and pumps and throws it in the back of the end zone, caught for a touchdown. That entire sequence was just too easy. This crowd's going nuts. 3rd and 12. Standing in the gun, well protected. Deep down the middle. Too high for Cooper, incomplete. Cooper was all alone. And the Eagles are knocking on the door. They give it to Sanders, and he walks the dog. That was real easy. The Eagles are feeling it now. Dallas at its 12. Got to go 88 yards to tie the game. Prescott in the gun. Throws deep. Oh, man, he's got a man down the field. He overthrew him by 5 yards. Prescott's accuracy has been compromised today. 4th and 8.
Prescott steps up. He is firing deep, and it is incomplete. Incomplete. And this game is over.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get the job done, and we all have to own it. I have to own it. The coaching staff has to own it. All the players and staff members have to own it and give the Eagles credit. And now we have to go forward. Unfortunately, we don't control our destiny anymore, but we do control our opportunity next week against Washington.
We're too talented of a team and individuals to not make the plays, starting with myself. It's disappointing, it's frustrating, but we all take responsibility.
We all expected to leave here as the NFC's champs. We're not. A disappointing setback for that locker room and for all of us, and I know it is for the fans.
Which means the Eagles are now in control in the NFC East after that win. Philly will take the division with a win at the Giants or a Dallas loss to the Redskins next Sunday. The other 5 spots are set, but none of the teams are locked into a seed, and no one is even clinched a bye yet. It is Monday. Just because it's Christmas week doesn't mean we don't overreact. I'll say this, the Cowboys are the most disappointing team in the NFL. Ryan, overreaction or no?
This is not an overreaction to me, and I know we're going to point to some different teams, but it's not only the expectations they came into the season with, it's going into this game with an opportunity to win the NFC East after you haven't played your best ball all season, but you can now give yourself an opportunity to be in the playoffs, to be in the tournament, to actually host a game during the wild card round, and you lay an egg. You don't even score a touchdown against a Philadelphia Eagles team that has been giving touchdowns up to guys like Ryan Fitzpatrick, to Eli Manning, to Dwayne Haskins, and you can't figure out a way to get into the end zone. You don't give the ball to Ezekiel Elliott at least 20 times after having a game where you have 2 rushers go over 100 yards against the Los Angeles Rams. It was disappointing. It was a disappointing season compared to who you were supposed to be when it started, and also disappointing that when given the opportunity to right the wrongs of 14 games, you couldn't do that either.
It's an overreaction for me. I understand what you're saying. I think they were the most disappointing team of Week 16 by far. But I think on the season, look, they could actually still end up winning the division. They win and the Eagles lose next week, and they still win the division, host a playoff game. And so for me, there are probably a couple more disappointing teams. I would look at the Cleveland Browns. Now, there were people, we were almost forced to talk about the Cleveland Browns all offseason, and the reality was it wasn't going to be a good team. They were poorly coached. I think there was a lack of leadership there, and they were, in many respects, an uncompetitive, a team that wasn't competitive. Then you look at the Atlanta Falcons. That's another team that's like, they're not even playing meaningful games at this time of year. And think about their roster and some of their players. And so for me, I think, could they have played better this week? Yeah, but on the season, I think there are other teams.
I'm going to say not an overreaction. I won't even put an asterisk by it.
Oh, there you go.
Look at you.
Look at you, Maury.
He means it.
What are we, week 16? We got there.
Well, because we looked at this team. They changed offensive coordinators from Scott Linehan to Kellen Moore. That was a high expectation. We'll get creative. They actually had,
less
first
creative.
team have a 4,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard runner, 1,000-yard receiver. They have put together a very talented roster. And even if they should pull out the NFC East this week, still a 500 football team. And yes, I agree with you on the Falcons, but the Falcons at least have built their momentum. They made some changes in season and were able to accomplish that.
What about the Browns?
The Browns? No, the Browns count as one of those teams. How about the Rams?
Well, the Rams, I think
the Rams and Falcons was there for me.
I think a huge thing with the Dallas Cowboys, when you compare them to the Atlanta Falcons, you compare them to the Cleveland Browns. Those weren't playoff teams last year.
That's right.
The Dallas Cowboys were. The Dallas Cowboys were a divisional round playoff team. And also you go and you say, okay, we made some changes in the coaching staff. We also signed some guys to some long-term deals, and you expected those things to pay dividends, and they just did not. And so when this team, and they may finish, at 500, and they may get to the playoffs.
I mean, they might get to the divisional round of the playoffs.
I think
incredible.
The big thing, when we were talking about this team this season, and I said their ceiling was 10-6 before the season, there were many people picking this team to get to the Super Bowl.
Oh, yes.
Picking this team to win the Super Bowl. And so when you end up in this position, waiting on the Philadelphia Eagles, who don't have their 2 top receivers, their tight end has a broken rib, waiting on that team to maybe lose to the New York Giants, you put yourself in a position you definitely don't think a team with this type of roster would be in.
I would agree with that, but I'll still go back to the Browns. You think about the Browns. The Steelers, okay, have played 3 quarterbacks this year, okay? And, like, they've been more competitive than the Browns.
Yeah.
The Bengals have been a disaster.
They're better coached than the Browns.
No, right, that's what I'm saying. So, like, here's, like, what team do we talk about more than any other team this offseason?
Just because we talk about a team doesn't
I feel like we jumped the gun on
The other part is this, too.
There were people picking them to win that division.
The other thing is, too,
that division.
I did too.
You should be disappointed.
There was also, but I mean, we talked about them because there were news. Right, when Odell, when people people get traded there and things happen and you pick up new people, Olivier Vernon and Sheldon Richardson, there are things to talk about with that team. When you get a new head coach, they give you opportunities to talk about that team. Now, we spoke of them, and I was a part of it. I thought that team would win the AFC North. I didn't think they would advance to the playoffs.
So that's what I'm saying.
When they beat the Ravens in Baltimore, I said, okay, I might be right.
And so you're saying that Dallas has had a better season than they have.
I guess I'm just looking at them and saying, like, they've been out of it. They're out of it. Like, to me, a disappointing season is when, like, you still have, like, when guys are already moving on in the regular season.
Did you see Jerry Jones' face yesterday?
Yeah, it was a
disappointing season.
Summed it up. Listen, speaking of the AFC North, this is new on NFL Live, and it does matter, and I'll tell you why. According to Ravens head coach John Harbaugh,